Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Rachel. So there is this quote, all conditioned things are impermanent. It's attributed to the Buddha, and that is not the entire quote. But it sounds pretty simple until you realize how much of your life you've built around things you assumed would stay the same. And most of us don't realize how fragile those assumptions are until they're gone. Most of us ask what matters. Buddhism and Stoicism ask something a little bit harder. What still matters when things don't last? And that's kind of uncomfortable because one of the core tenets in Buddhism is that nothing lasts. Not roles, not certainty, not even the versions of ourselves that we get attached to. Stoicism doesn't disagree. So, if nothing is stable, if status, identity, comfort, and even clarity can shift, then choosing what matters isn't really all that inspirational. It's strategic. Once you sit with that idea for a minute, that things don't last, it's easy to go in the wrong direction with it. A lot of us do. We hear Buddhism and think it's saying detach from everything. Don't care. Don't want. Don't get attached. We hear Stoicism and think it's saying shut down, suppress emotion. None of this matters anyway. Neither of those is true. In fact, both traditions are saying the exact opposite. They're not teaching you how to opt out of life. They're teaching you how to live well even when life keeps changing. Buddhism isn't saying nothing matters. It's saying how you relate to things matters. Stoicism isn't saying don't feel. It's saying don't let your inner stability be owned by things you can't control. That is a huge difference. And this is where people miss the point. Neither tradition is asking you to get a new personality or to disappear into a monastery. Neither is asking you to stop caring about people, work, or the world. They're both incredibly practical. Buddhism lays this out through what they often call the Eightfold Path. Now, I don't really like saying it that way because it sounds kind of like a checklist or a spiritual resume. It's really just a way of living, seeing clearly, acting with intention, speaking carefully, doing work that doesn't hollow you out, putting effort where it actually helps, staying aware of what your mind is doing, learning how to focus instead of fragmenting yourself. That's not none of it matters. That's this matters. Pay attention. Stoicism lands in almost the same place, just with different language. Focus on what's within your control. Act with virtue, not image. Use reason instead of impulse. Accept change without surrendering your character. Again, not detachment, alignment. Both traditions are asking the same simple question. How do you live with integrity when nothing is guaranteed? And they're not telling you to get a new life. They tell you to live the one you already have more skillfully. This all sounds very clean when we talk about it in theory, but real life doesn't announce itself politely. People leave, jobs end, health changes, sometimes overnight. The world occasionally becomes a complete dumpster fire, and none of that shows up when it's convenient. It shows up when you're just trying to live your life. This is where impermanence stops being philosophical and starts being personal. Because the problem isn't that things change. The problem is that we build our sense of safety on things that cannot promise to stay. Roles, routines, other people's behavior. The idea that if we do everything right, life will cooperate. And then it doesn't. That's when people think Buddhism or Stoicism is asking them to shrug and say, well, nothing I can do. Nothing matters anyway. No. This is where those teachings actually step in and say something much more practical. You don't control what changes. You do control what you anchor yourself to when it does. When someone leaves, Buddhism doesn't say don't feel it. It says notice what you're clinging to. The story, the expectation, the permanence you thought you had. Stoicism doesn't say be unaffected. It says grieve if you need to, but don't surrender your character to the loss. Same wisdom, different language. Sudden change exposes something most of us don't want to admit. We have been outsourcing our stability to people, to circumstances, to systems that were never designed to hold it for us. Both traditions are trying to hand that stability back to you. They're saying your ability to respond matters more than your ability to predict. Your conduct matters more than your control. Your attention matters more than your certainty. You don't need a new life when things fall apart. You need a way of living that can absorb shock. That is not abstract. It's survival with your humanity intact. So, when you strip all of this down, the impermanence, the sudden changes, the things you can't hold on to, what actually matters? It's not certainty. It's not impermanence. It's not getting life to behave. What matters is how you live inside change, how you speak when things are unstable, how you treat people when you're afraid, how you carry yourself when plans fall apart, how you respond when the world doesn't give you clarity. That's what both Buddhism and Stoicism keep pointing back to. Not outcomes, not guarantees, but conduct, attention, character. For me, it always goes back to music. Because if change weren't such a fundamental part of being human, we wouldn't have written so many songs about it. Music is where philosophy keeps showing up again without needing to explain itself. From David Bowie to Tupac, from Bob Dylan to Sam Cooke, from Fleetwood Mac to the Scorpions, and honestly, right into Bruce Springsteen and Sheryl Crow territory. Different decades, different genres, different lives. Same truth. Songs like Changes, or A Change Is Gonna Come, Landslide, The Wind of Change. They're not trying to fix life. They're trying to tell the truth about it. Change isn't the interruption. It's the condition. And what matters isn't avoiding it. It's deciding who you are while it's happening. That's why neither Buddhism nor Stoicism tells you to detach from life. They tell you to participate in it more honestly. To stop building your identity on what can disappear. To stop anchoring your peace to what can turn overnight. To stop confusing control with stability. You do not need a new life. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to escape the world. You need a way of living that holds up when things shift. And that looks surprisingly ordinary. Choosing your words carefully. Acting with integrity when nobody's watching. Putting your effort where it actually helps. Paying attention to what you're becoming, not just what you're losing. That is what actually matters. Not because it lasts forever, but because it's what you carry with you, no matter what changes. Okay, that's all I've got today. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and take care of you. I will see you the next time. Bye-bye. For those of you wondering where Reggie is while I'm filming, I don't know if you can see him or not, but he is at the door waiting for me, wanting to be outside, but it's just too cold. Can you say hi to everybody, Reggie?